Damien Cave, wherever you are, come up. Hiding in the back. He's the Deputy National Editor for Digital at the New York Times. He's just back from Mexico City covering issues there. Then he was, before that, he was the Times Miami Bureau Chief. Then before that, in Baghdad. So what more can a Times reporter do? He is receiving the award today. I don't know how much of it we're going to be able to see for The Way North, but I want to see this. A 39-day multimedia project published in the Times in May and June of this year. Damien and his photographer, Todd Heister, drove 4,000 some miles through 38 different towns and cities from Laredo in Texas to Duluth in Minnesota. That's a trip. With daily dispatches and photos, their document chronicles immigration's impact in the middle of America at the local level, where immigrants and established residents collide. That's a tough word. Far from the gridlock of Washington, in the schools, churches, and neighborhoods of half a dozen states, The Way North explores the new America emerging along Interstate 35. This has got to be fascinating. It seems to be more pragmatic and welcoming than its lawmakers would have us believe. We're very honored to have you here and present you this award, Damien. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll be brief, but I first of all sincerely want to thank the French American Foundation for not just giving me this award, but for having these awards. You know, I think the value of emphasizing journalism that focuses on nuance and that focuses on the importance of immigration is something that is both complicated and compelling, is very important. You know, as we all know, or anyone who sort of pays attention to immigration knows, it's a subject that generates much more heat than light. It's a subject that tends to fall into two camps in which immigrants are treated as either villains or heroes. And this award, and I know this from some of the previous winners who have also won, is something that emphasizes and highlights the more complicated middle between those two polar opposites. And I'm very honored to have won this award, and I very much appreciate the focus on that, because at the end of the day, immigration, as you were saying, is something that we all experience. Not only are we all immigrants, but every country around the world is increasingly an immigrant-filled country. And I think one of the questions that we try to get at with this project, which we'll see if I can find a way to pull it up, is you know, what happens to a country as immigration begins to change the country? You know, there's a process of osmosis that happens between newcomers and people who have been there for a long time. And the question that I think that France, the United States, that many countries are trying to figure out is, what is essential? How do we hold on to what we are as a nation while also being adaptable to the world that's coming in? And frankly, I'm not sure there's any country that's sort of figured this out. And this is an ongoing process. You know, it's a little bit like a glacier that's kind of moving through space. And, you know, the focus tends to be on where the glacier first arrives. In the United States, it's the Mexican border. But the changes that are happening are rippling through the entire country, and many other countries too that are dealing with this experience. And, you know, I think these awards and these institutions that focus on this, whether it's the New York Times or others, deserve to be greatly appreciated, because, you know, Washington is not going to solve this problem. Which is not to say that policy is not a solution, but one of the things that we found through this project is the degree to which the average person on the street is able to sort of break through some of the conundrums that Washington cannot seem to break through. When I first started covering immigration for Mexico and the changes that were happening there, just to give you a sense of the challenge of this, I had many people who were sort of advocates and experts on this say to me, you don't understand, immigration is a fact-free zone. No one will ever believe you that Mexican immigration is declining. No one will ever believe you that this is a different dynamic. You know, this was a few years ago before it became general knowledge. And the truth is now it has sort of broken through. And in part, I believe it's because what's happening at the local level is people are getting used to their neighbors. As Tomás Jiménez, who's a sociologist at Stanford, said to me, you know, this process of going from strangers to neighbors. And this is the slow process that's happening here. And if there's one thing I would say to sort of leave you with, whether you look at our project or many of the other things that this foundation has highlighted, it's to not look to Washington for information or news or insight on what's happening with immigration in this country. At the local level, in towns like, Denison, Iowa, and in small communities like Duluth, which is hungry for immigrants that they haven't received, the future of this country and the future of immigration is being formed. And it's really a question of when Washington catches up with what's happening at the local level. And so I very much appreciate the attention that this award gives to the project, like The Way North, which kind of emphasizes that and tries to kind of shift the narrative focus away from the heat and much more towards the light. Thank you.